Hello everyone, Phil Style here from 92 Squadron and the Storm of War server. This video I'm going to explain what I think is the best setup for your information windows in Cliffs of Dover that will provide you with all the information you need in a nice, concise and unobtrusive manner. So basically I have two windows showing, and one of them at the moment is entirely transparent and the other one has just got a small amount of permanent text showing. So let's start with the permanent text, which is in the bottom left hand corner of my screen, and that is my engine percentage settings. Now some people choose not to have this showing, the reason being for higher realism, because they believe that you should read the instruments, and in many respects I agree. It would be higher realism not to have this. The reason I have it here is because my squadron operates standard engine settings based on percentages. Because the various pressures and RPMs change with altitude, we just have standard percentages that we refer to when flying together. So I have mine showing. So how have I set this window up? Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to highlight the window, right click and customize. These are my settings for my engine info settings. So the only information I have showing is engine info, but we'll start with the window tab itself. The title is hidden, but the border is visible. I have the inactive to set to 25 opacity, but inactive sets to 0, so that when the window is not selected, it's completely transparent. When it is selected, it's 25% opaque. I have the horizontal scroll bar hidden, and I have the history set to 100, so that the settings will, if I move, for example, my throttle, the percentage will stay there for 100 seconds and then it will disappear. That's the timeout. So it shows me up to the last 100 and it will time out after 100 seconds. So that's what I have for my info window. It's nice and small. It's way down the bottom left. If I select engine info itself, I use the digital layout as opposed to the analog, which has the bars. I use the fixed small font, so that's the smallest possible font, and you can choose from the various colors. I just use Indian red, which is the default, which is the red coloring that you can see. So that's my engine information, which is just very small in the bottom left of my screen. Now the second window I have, which you can't currently see at all, so when it's not actually displaying anything, this window is completely invisible, is in the top left of my screen. I'm going to hold down Alt and click on that, and now you can just see it. It's become opaque because I've selected it. So let's right click on that and we'll go to my options for that window. So here we go. First of all, the window itself, which is highlighted at the top. I've got the title hidden, so you can't see the title. And I do have the border visible, so that when the window is selected, you can drag the border around. If it's invisible, it's very hard to drag the borders. My inactive background is 25% opaque. Sorry, the active background is 25%, but the inactive background is 0. Therefore, when the window is not selected, it is completely invisible. You can't see the window when it's not selected. Now my history and my timeout are down to 30, so it will only show up to 30 messages and it will time out after 30 seconds. So that player, Danny R. Sturbo, who just joined the server, that message will fade pretty quickly and disappear because of my low timeout settings. Okay, the next one I have is I have my vehicle secondary controls set to the same window. Many players will find that their vehicle secondary controls show up in blue text in the bottom right hand of their screen by default. I've deleted that window entirely and I've added this information to my existing main info window. So that's things like when I lower my flaps, lower my gear, those sorts of bits of information that you can't always see readily from inside the cockpit. Of course the flap indicator is on the wing and the gear indicators, but things like brakes, it's a lot harder to see brakes, so I have that information showing. I have, and also that is also set to fixed small, so the smallest font size. So chat input I have showing, so that's when I type into the chat bar, I type into this box as well. Chat output I also have set to fixed small, the smallest possible font. Server I have set to fixed small, the smallest possible font. And I also have voice in this window set to the smallest possible font. Voice is things like when you use tab 7.1 and you get the text that matches those WAV files, those audio files that it plays. So that's it. That's all I have. 2 information windows, my engine info in digital format in fixed small font, and I have about 5 or 6 other bits of information all coming through the same window in the top left corner. And as you can see, that means that when I'm flying, for the most part, my screen is free of all those bits of text, the time, all this random information that clutters up the screen. And on some videos you'll see that people have all sorts of different bits of information showing. So for those of you who like a really clean screen, which is really, really nice for shooting videos incidentally, then the settings that I use should give you all the critical information, as well as keeping things really nice and clean and tidy so that you won't get distracted by an overflow of text appearing on the screen. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for some folks that might not be familiar with what all of those options mean. For the InfoWindows, as usual everyone, I hope to see you on the Storm of War server sometime. Good luck and happy hunting.